Hi, I'm Harry McNally. Welcome to the McNally Musket Missive. This is going to be a quick introductory video to talk about A, what I hope to accomplish with my series, B, why my Kickstarter is necessary, and C, well no, just those two first things. A, I'd like to talk about the development and history of U.S. muskets, beginning with the Flintlock Charlottesville pattern musket, starting in 1795, going all the way to the last standard issue musket of the U.S. military, the Model 1863 Type 2 or Model 1864, depending on who you ask. Now, I'm certain you can tell already, B is kind of self-evident. I don't have very great lighting, I don't have any sound equipment to speak of, and I'm shooting this on an iPhone. So, if you're watching this and the Kickstarter is still going, please, for the love of God, let's make this look better. Let's go over a few basics to begin with. The first U.S. muskets were flintlock muskets. Now, what is a flintlock? I'm going to use this pistol here to demonstrate. This section of the weapon is the lock mechanism. This is what allows us to actually ignite the powder charge inside the barrel to propel the bullet forward. How does it work? In this case, we have a flintlock. There is a piece of flint between the jaws here on the hammer, or cock, depending on your terminology, which strikes this part here, the battery or the frizzen, to create sparks. Those sparks ignite the powder in this section here called the pan, and that travels down a small hole in the barrel, which you may or may not be able to see because of my bad lighting, and that's what ignites the charge inside the barrel. They are literally banging rocks together to make fire. So for nearly 200 years, the muzzle-loading musket was the primary infantry arm. Following that, they changed to the rifle musket. The rifle musket was basically a musket, but with grooves cut into the inside of the barrel so that the projectile would spin as it came out. Militaries had experience with rifles, but not rifle muskets. Rifles, until the middle of the 19th century, were the purview of specialized troops. Rifles were slower than smoothbore muskets. And this was because in order to get the maximum effect out of your rifles, you needed the bullets to fit very tightly with the rifling, and that was difficult and slower to load. That changed in the 1840s when Claude Monet invented that a conical hollow-based bullet will expand by itself to fit the grooves, so you could load an undersized bullet like a musket and fire one that gripped the grooves of the rifling on the way out like a rifle. Rifle musket. Yay! Now, why did they keep using rifle muskets instead of just the shorter, handier rifles? Well, the reason for that is armies are stupid. They will always fight the way they fought the last war, because if it was good enough for then, it's good enough for now. Muskets weren't particularly accurate beyond, well, it depends on who you talk to. Let's just ballpark it and say 75 yards. Outside of 75 yards, your chances are kind of, pardon the pun, hit or miss. With rifles, the same man could hit a target up to 300 yards away. Possibly further. The sights on the Civil War muskets that I had go out to 500 yards, but if you ask me, that's the height of optimism. Anyway, they could hit further, but they were still fighting as though they were fighting against Napoleon, 30 yards away, eyeball to eyeball, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. And that's why, by the end of the Civil War, the militaries knew rifle muskets were not the way to go. They're too long, they're too cumbersome, they're a relic of a bygone age. Which is why I consider the stopping point of this series to be the end of the Civil War. U.S. military leaders knew the rifle musket wasn't the best way to fight. However, they already had a couple million of them, so let's not change horses in the middle of a race. Basics out of the way. I would love to go into detail, talk about the Charlottesville pattern musket. I would love to tell you about how they were just wildly different from one another, because they were all artisanal, handmade, bespoke pieces, and how on many of them the bayonet log was in different places, how they would vary in length depending on who made them. How the parts wouldn't even interchange with another musket made the same day in the same arsenal. But I won't, and you don't want me to, because this looks terrible. Please, for the love of God, help me out. I need better lights, I need sound equipment, I need a better camera. Also, I can tell you the story of America's Arms. Thank you.